in November, and the clouds will gather. The world deep in sleep, a window and an overcast glance. There's no one to wake me up. The darkness slowly engulfs the light of day. It's difficult to discern what time it is. Everything recedes somehow. The fog, the window pane. I need stronger glasses, increasingly expressive rituals. I don't want to get up in the morning. I growl and build tents from bedsheets like a child. It is but an echo. I can't rekindle the joyful game. The broth is tasteless. No one chases the shadows out of the corners. Now I think to myself, I've been living such a lukewarm life. It's not even November yet. The forest and the trees, the fading bedding, the winter berries and birds, still not yet red. I plod down the empty roadsides, soaked in the freezing autumn rain, the raindrops on my short eyelashes. I try to repeat, to answer aloud. I hoot my laughter at the entrance of the hall of death, having to rebuild my vitality from ashes. I need blood and milk, but my veins are barren. I must lean my heavy head back, get drunk with dampness, kiss the silent passers-by in the city, worship nudity, celebrate all saints, compose a litany on hunger, survive this month. In November, and the clouds will gather. The world deep in sleep, a window and an overcast glance. There's no one to wake me up. The darkness slowly engulfs the light of day. It's difficult to discern what time it is. Everything recedes somehow, the fog, the window pane. I need stronger glasses, increasingly expressive rituals. I don't want to get up in the morning. I growl and build tents from bedsheets like a child. It is but an echo. I can't rekindle the joyful game. The broth is tasteless. No one chases the shadows out of the corners. Now I think to myself, I have been living such a lukewarm life. It's not even November yet. The forest and the trees, the fading bedding, the winter berries and birds, still not yet red. I plod down the empty roadsides, soaked in the freezing autumn rain, the raindrops on my short eyelashes. I try to repeat, to answer aloud. I hoot my laughter at the entrance of the hall of death, having to rebuild my vitality from ashes. I need blood and milk, but my veins are barren. I must lean my heavy head back, get drunk with dampness, kiss the silent passerby in the city, worship nudity, celebrate all saints, compose a litany on hunger, survive this month.
Hello everyone, this is Denise O'Hagan, living in Sydney, Australia, born and raised in Italy. My poem in the Proverse Poetry Prize 2022 is called Pietà. It's an acrostic poem inspired by a painting by the Italian Renaissance artist Perugino. Like the Michelangelo sculpture of the same name, the painting depicts the Virgin Mary mourning the body of her son. Created around 1493, it's both beautiful and confronting, which was what moved me to write the poem. Pietà. And in the granite tenderness with which she lays her hand over his long pale body, laid out stiffly across her knees, is written every mother's deepest fear that it should come to this. She's set apart, the portico around her makes sure of that, framing her in air. And yet, there's something monolithic about her seated, blue-robed form and sturdy, spaced-apart knees, though her left hand, curling his thigh, is fine-boned, her little finger curving out and in like yours or mine. Sometimes, in these great works of art, it is the detail that we relate to. Aware of her, we yet can't bring ourselves to face her. Instead, our eye detours to the russet-haired and sandaled woman at her left, her fingers steepling the bleached blades of his shins. This weeping Mary Magdalene, cheeks reddened and glistening tears purling, dares expose her undiluted grief. Here's what we notice: the hair of St. John brushing the bleeding face of Christ, Nicodemus's eyes raised heavenwards, as an aged Joseph of Arimathea rests the hands that help to bury him. But we are putty in the artist's hands and party to his formal composition, and drag our eyes at last to hers. If we hope to read them, we may think again. She's composed, has been for centuries, and we are left to wrestle with the knowledge that this was always meant to be, that part of her would have it no other way. The other part is left for us to fathom how a blow unthinkable in human terms can in an oil painting be transformed.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Cottrell. I live north of Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, in the country. I'm passionate about nature, and I love to take walks in the woods. My poem, Haven Among Trees, will appear in the Proverse Poetry Prize Anthology 2022, Mingled Voices, number 7. Haven Among Trees. Stroll among lofty woodland friends, shelter us from searing sun, pelting rain, providers of houses and food for raccoons, gray squirrels, wood ducks. My fingertips trace the bark of a bitter nut hickory, vertical ridges with holes bored by hungry beetles and red-bellied woodpeckers. I place one ear to your aging trunk, listen, and hope for a conversation. Too many times, your stressful gurgles, clicks, have gone unheard. A wood thrush sings, chuck, 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 ravioli, iole, feet, 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 complements my mantra of Om Santi, Santi, Santi. Peace, peace, peace. My pulse slows, breaths deepen. Mind harnesses thoughts of obligations, debts, illness. Woods nurture and awaken my conscience to act and respond to your distress calls and to mine in the hope of saving each other.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joanna Radwańska-Williams. I was born in Poland. I'm affiliated with Macau Polytechnic University. And right now, I'm in Chicago, Illinois. The title of my poem is How the Fish Feel. How do fish feel when the net is cast into their pond or lake or sea? When their silvery shining is captured and entangled? How do fish know the meaning of danger? In Zhenjiang, we walked along the banks of Yangtze River, where miles of water are laced with fishing nets. we watched the fishermen pull in a net from the fish pond. Hundreds of fish were jumping. They knew the meaning of danger, even if they did not know the exact recipe for dinner. Zhao Jun told me that in Xinjiang or Tibet, in Western provinces, the fish are not afraid. It is easy to catch them. What do the fish feel when they feel fear? Does their heart, like ours, beat faster? What do the fish feel in the restaurant aquarium, watching the people dining, laughing as they wait to be eaten? Do they dream of a delicious meal of people? Looking at the fish on my plate, I imagine that I am she and the fish is the person. The fish is smiling at me with teeth that will bite me. The fish looks at my head, the most delicious part. I have been steamed in a pot with ginger and garlic. The smell of my cooked flesh is wonderful. I am a good meal. In 3 minutes, I will cease to exist.
Hello, my name is Allegra Silberstein, and I live in Davis, California, in the United States. And this poem of mine is called Epiphany, and it's in the Proverse Poetry Anthology number 8, and I'm so honored to be there. I wrote this poem because of my delight every year when spring comes, and at age 92, this is especially important. And even though Epiphany is the name of a Christian holiday, I'm writing this in the sense of an awakening, a beautiful understanding. Epiphany. Everywhere I go, spring comes plowing through the earth. The green thrust of grass, of narcissus and daffodils into sunlight, as well as chill breezes. Spring comes like prayers rising through the stem, like cream that rises on milk, like snow angels planted in winter. Morning streams on branches that are bare transforms the nothing there with a glaze of light, of promise.
Hello, fellow writers and readers. My name is George Watt. I am recording this in Adelaide in South Australia. My poem, Boy on a Boat, has happily been included in the next volume of Mingled Voices, number 7. And I'm very happy to read this for you today. The poem tells of an actual incident that I remember vividly when I was a young schoolmaster in charge of a group of boys on a ferry from Fremantle across to Rottnest Island in Western Australia. And I'll let the poem do the telling for me. Boy on a boat. A blue-white, windy day of hard-edged clarity. An open-deck spree for a schoolboy gang at sea who fall about like loose cannonballs, rolling every which way with the heave and pitch of the boat on a lively sea. I'm there to stop them hurtling over the side to an early and watery death. But this day of untidy arms and legs and flying ties, this day is one for goodwill, so that won't happen. From the downstairs deck, on unsteady hands and knees, clambers up a happy boy. In years past, he'd be simple to well-meaning souls, or simply locked away. Not this boy, in his avid red coat, bold in a sea of cool blazer blue and wild wind. Following the lurching of the boat, he staggers and pitches from boy to boy, hugging each in turn for balance or joy, or both, grinning with his face on a neck or a woolen breast. He sees this as his absolute right, one strong enough for normally untouchable boys to forget to be monsters and push other away. His dauntless will and singular ardour for this wind-blown, coddled crew binds him to us with a sailor's knot, one never learnt and rarely taught. When we dock, will our return to hard land sense give us back to difference? Or in our journeys after this, in storm or calm, will memory hold the effervescence of that one bright heart, a keeper of secrets well beyond our ken?
Hello, my name is Vinita Agrawal and I live in Indore, India. I'm very grateful and humbled that Proverse Hong Kong has nominated my poem Stroke for a special mention and included it in the Mingled Voices Anthology, Volume 7. I'd like to read this poem out for you. Stroke. A morning might begin like this, windows closing to light, a punch of darkness delivered to the solar plexus of a day. Your voice barely audible on the phone, saying you'd had a fall, that you could barely move, could barely swallow. I'll be right there, the long, tight grip of rain on my heart, 6 hours of thinking the worst before I reach. Kind neighbors have shifted you to the hospital. You're in the ICU, tubes and wires rudely in and out of your body. I climb the mountain of the moment. Your eyes brighten when they spot me. Your gaze sows my fears. Daddy, our hands cling. Tomorrow I'll know a numbness colder than your skin, a flattening of all things. How will I vocalize the rising rail of pain? Loss, a peepal tree, will take roots inside my chest. For years it will grow, leaf by leaf. For years the earth will feel heavier.
Hello everyone, this is Tom Choi from Hong Kong. I'm currently a postgraduate student in psychology at the Education University of Hong Kong. The poem I'm presenting is titled The Paper Crane, which appears in Mingled Voices 7, International Proverse Poetry Prize Anthology 2022. This poem is a snapshot of someone or anyone among us who did not give up and sent her best wishes to people around. It was partly inspired by the love I received in childhood from my grandparents. The paper crane. Sarah focused on the standard square, began some fake and recipe account to unfold. Treacheries, atrocities, alike by human hands. When she saw a bird of grace resurrected, she had only a rising wish. This paper crane can be any color. To you, this paper crane, I wish, would carry love.
Hello, my name is Neil Douglas from London, UK, and I'm going to read a poem that's published in Mingled Voices 7. It's called Geography Teacher. He is the sign at Land's End, pointing to John O'Groats. His fields were mixed and arable, barley, sheep, and oats. Then an oxbow lake adrift from apathetic silt. Now a rock-strewn summit, eroded by fast glacial melt. His life's contours, closely packed, signify the climb as steep. Above the tor, the trees are sparse. The ravine below is deep.
Hi everyone, my name is Casey Hampton. I currently live in Oregon, which is on the west coast in the United States of America, up in the Pacific Northwest. My poem, or So Says the Wind, appears in the Proverse Poetry Prize Anthology 2022, Mingled Voices 7. A very brief background. For those of you who are unfamiliar with bears, they're an animal that hibernate during winter, typically in dens, and reemerge in spring. And in this poem, I'm writing about bears that, for whatever reason, remain in the earth. And there's a good chance that maybe I'm not writing about bears, but I think that'll have to be up to you to determine. Or so says the wind. I suspect there are bears that dream too, long to become a deconstruction of teeth and hide, just bones beneath the earth. There remains an inability in being to emerge into here-ness, while others fail to recognize distance between yesterday and tomorrow, and acceptance, past unattended burials of the slumbering bears left in the soil. We must discover a way out of such torpor, those close dens, hollow comfort to hidden giants, now dismissed like myths or intimacies, hush the only sound when there's no one out there.
Hello, this is Dr. Lee Ho-chung, and I'm very happy to share with you my poem called A Good Day. I wrote this piece a few months ago while we're still in the pandemic. And the narrator of this poem is a little boy who experiences a lot of unhappiness during the pandemic, but he finds a way to entertain himself. So at the end of the day, it's still a good day for him. So if you like this poem, A Good Day. A boy who's age 11 wakes up from broken dreams. He reaches his old cell phone and shoots today's routine. He sets his camera tripod and films himself in bed. He pulls away his blanket. "Hello, my friends," he said. And still without a t-shirt, he holds a selfie stick. He speaks and spins and sniggers and staggers like a chick. His breakfast treats him quite well. The milk is not expired. His television's turned on, but he's not inspired. The screen tells awful stories. The earth laments in pain. The plague is far from over. Our new wounds in Ukraine. The boy explains the world news. He comments on his school. He sings high like a diva and dances like a fool. He stops his cam the moment he finds he's done a lot. A bath is what he needs most. It should be nice and hot. He traps himself in bubbles. They look like crystal balls. Quite soon the water gets cold, as mother seems to call. The boy gets out to see her and finds himself alone. What cuddles him's a towel. No one else is home. He gets back to the video that would bring his dad a smirk. He knows there's Wi-Fi up there. His dad can see his work. The clock forgets to tell him it's nearly 6:15. He skips his lunch completely. His stomach starts to scream. But nothing's gonna stop him from editing his clip. He wants a cool conclusion to make his film a hit. His eyes begin to turn red as he completes the end. He speaks about his parents, his grandma, and his friends. The time is now 11. He climbs to bed for dreams. He turns off his old cell phone and ends today's routine. But what he doesn't notice is that his mum returns. She's not been back for 2 days. The ill are her concern. She cleans herself and walks in to see her boy asleep. She kisses him and covers his bare back and his feet. The day is grey and simple. He may be feeling down, yet millions lose their everything. The lad's still safe and sound. Thank you.
Hello, friends. I'm Jack Mayer, and I live in Vermont in the USA. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York City. I fled New York City to Vermont. I'm a writer and retired pediatrician. I draw my inspiration from hiking alone in the wilderness. My poem, To the Trees, is an homage to the trees I take for granted as I walk through the forest. It is part of my new collection, Entanglements, Physics, Love, and Wilderness Dreams. It appears in Mingled Voices 7, International Proverse Poetry Prize Anthology 2022. To the Trees. The trees got it right, showing us up with their test of time in which we are but a blip. We homines sapientes, like foals at the starting gate, exploded into seeming success, but now we falter. Trees, who commune through miles of mycelial networks, keep their young close, move with exquisite slow meter, seeking only sunshine, rain, and carbon dioxide, waiting for humans to disappear into the earth like so many fallen leaves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shikama Sir. I reside here in Hong Kong and have been living here for a while now. I'm glad to be a part of the Mingled family, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be published. So I read this poem. It's called A Wish for My Old Age. Freedom from occupation, freedom from vanity, freedom from guilt, freedom from responsibility. Oh, if time grants me permission to grow old, I wish for freedoms, many and manifold. Freedom from structures, alarms, goals, lists. Freedom to squander time as I deem fit. Freedom from society's onerous dictates. Be respectable, stick to the narrow and straight. Freedom to chase every little whim and fancy. Freedom to roll over and sleep when life gets chancy. Throw caution to the winds, entertain thoughts unchased. Depart from stolid company without step, post-haste. Freedom to look as dowdy as you please. Flaunt the wrinkles, let silver hair blow in the breeze. Old age is the liberation from the tyranny of youth, from decorum, dandyism, desires uncouth. While freedoms many I wish to wrest from life, to turn back time is a freedom denied. Nor do I control the earth's gravitational pull that tugs at the flesh and shakes the organs loose. When the faculties dim and memories fade, when I rattle and hum with each exertion I make, when the scepter of death looms large ahead, when time slows down, strings out life on a thread, I wish for a full heart and a comfortable bed.
Not even my own family actually mentioned it. They thought it was kinder not to mention it. So this is my unmentionable poem, Tiger's Slave. The bipolar sea hypnotizes me, lying flat 1 minute, attention seeking the next. Like my imagination, it is too vast, too powerful, too unrestrained and unfathomable. I'm drawn to it and repelled by it. My mother drowned in it. I can never trust it. But I like how it mirrors my moods. Like the sea, I am raging against the tide, while locked into its repetitive cycle. Hong Kong was once a thief that stole from the sea, tipped rubbish in it, then built on it. But you cannot cheat the sea. Locked in bitter pursuit, the sea returned to reclaim the stolen land, swallowing Kowloon, new territories, and the outlying islands whole. As payback, flicking a lascivious tongue at the neon beanstalks that towered defiantly high, devouring giants on billboards, choking on diesel trucks, belching bridges, spitting up bodies. The sea is becoming bolder, inspired by my impetuousness. Angry rolling waves, whipped into a frenzy by my electricity, thrashed the shore with spray. I twirled in tumult of stormy air, but my anguished words are blurred by the buccaneering brutality of the next wave that hits me. My life, real and imagined, flashes before my eyes. I know I am drowning, even before my mother swims towards me and sighs. You cannot cheat the sea. I smile back ruefully. The sea has returned to reclaim me. I wait for the sea to respond to me in wild fury, but it is a calm and listless vault of silver, like a sheet of looking glass, mocking my inner turmoil. Even the sea has abandoned me. Sorry, it's a bit depressing.
Thank you for this presentation. Okay, you can find my poem at page 148. So watching the dusk on a rainy night, amusing. Watching the dusk, clouds painted in a sfumato style, as teacher suggested, with colored pencil scraps pressed over within the lines by tiny fingers. Do not cry over the past. Take that little pupil you wear in your arms and toss him in the air. Every child loves that. Then make a paper ball of those memories and throw it around. Memories as notes, and you the composer. The mountains darken, dusk already brings night. Let the rains cry for you and fertilize the soil, where flowers will grow, with their corollas facing the sun, delivering you a song of joy, a song that will not leave you, wherever you may go. It snows like bells, filling the air in silence.
Shakespeare said, men are the measures of all things, but some men believe that they are the measure of all men and superior kings. In every tribe, nation and republic are those ambitious guys who do not have a satisfied ambition unless they can always rise and rise above the crowds that want food, wine, love and a peaceful nation. In some countries there is a lonely killer who is happy to kill thousands and destroy every city to show that he has the power to rule for infinity. Some other leaders say they want to make their country great, but do not understand that all they do is make their country great. That's G-R-A-T-E. So human society faces this threat of nations led by men with ambitions that endangers the peace of all who live in a world dominated by lies and seditions. So if we lived on a little island where no one thought they had a global role, we could enjoy a life of peace and pleasure and never fear that there was a politician in control who wanted to use extreme conflicts that led to war to show the world he was a lifelong king who gave his people a sense that they were in a land of pleasure galore. That we don't live on a little island. We all live on places that are part of a global world. We need to talk with neighbours near and far so that we can live undisturbed by the fears and fantasies spread by political personnel who want to be on top until all their rivals are dead.
Very, very. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap it up with a message from Joanna Radwańska-Williams, the poet who wrote How the Fish Feel, and she was first prize winner in 2021. So she has a message for us, and this is Joanna's message.
Greetings to all of my friends and colleagues at Proverse. My name is Joanna Radwańska-Williams. I was born in Poland. I'm based in Macau, but right now I'm living in Chicago. This is my message to you. My message is titled Charmed by Poetry. When I look back at my life, from my earliest years, I have been charmed by poetry, that mysterious, rhyming force that makes words stick in memory forever. When I was little, I was captivated by Alexander Pushkin's fairy tales. My grandmother's native language was Russian, and being an educator, she took great pains to teach me that beautiful language. Pushkin's tales were so much grander than their Western counterparts. Instead of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, there was the tale of the dead princess and the 7 heroes. I memorized entire passages of it. My child's imagination was also stimulated by the magically beautiful illustrations of the fairy tales on little black lacquer boxes. The princess with her tresses enhanced with real gold leaf, a Russian art form. The Polish poetry I was exposed to as a child was quite different, full of wonder and wordplay. Some of the greatest national poets, such as Julian Tuwim, also contributed vastly to children's literature, or more accurately speaking, wrote poetry that transcended generations, such as Tuvim's masterful onomatopoetic poem, The Steam Engine. Through this poem, I learned how art can imitate reality or change our perceptions of reality. When I moved to England and learned English, at some point I became charmed by poets like John Keats and Gerard Manley Hopkins. I admired the denseness of their language and imagery, like the quintessence of things, like deep red wine or dark chocolate. I memorized Ode to Autumn by Keats and God's Grandeur by Hopkins. I also learned about the mysterious creation of Kubla Khan by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, with its marvelous alliterations. 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion, through wood and dale the sacred river ran. I wondered how Coleridge's sleeping brain could produce such things. Later in America, at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I took several courses in literature and in creative writing, notably from the professor of romantic poetry, Robert Kirkpatrick, whom I nicknamed the Eagle, because when he felt inspired when lecturing, he would flap his arms like wings and stand on his toes as if he were taking flight. Somehow, he unlocked that magical something in my brain, and I've made it a habit to write poetry ever since. I am enormously grateful to Gillian and Verna Bickley for publishing my poems in the Mingled Voices International Poetry Prize Anthology. And I feel so honored to have received the first prize last year, as well as the third prize this year. It is wonderful that Proverse has created such a community of writers that we can read and appreciate each other's poetry, and that it has been published and distributed to the world. When I was a student at Chapel Hill, I remember dreaming, together with my friends who were also taking creative writing courses, that someday our work would be anthologized. My dream has come true. May all of your beautiful dreams also come true.
Thank you very much to everybody. Do you have any questions? Any questions for the finalists, the poets?
I would like to know what kind of moisturiser that 92-year-old poet uses. Because I feel I'm on a very different trajectory.
She was very charming, wasn't she? Very
She's
charming.
beautiful. And yeah, she was amazing.
Thank you very much. No other questions? So I think you'll all agree with me that it's a great privilege to have heard from so many interesting and moving people from around the world. And thank you very much for sharing that experience with us. So we're going to conclude the formal part, as always, with thanks. I'd like to thank our distributors, Chinese University of Hong Kong Press, Mr. Jackson Eng, who's been arranging printing for us since 2009, Mr. Dickie Wu, who's been doing cover design and other artwork for us since 2010, Mr. Moon, who's been performing collections and deliveries for almost the same length of time. I also thank the Helena May and the Helena May staff for their always willing and efficient help. This evening, we've had the pleasant and efficient help of a student from Hong Kong College of Technology, Miss Agnes Lam, second year student in Language and Corporate Communication, Korean, and her teacher, Dr. Vera Liu, and of 3 volunteers, Miss Joyce Liu, Miss Rachel Liu, and Miss Zoe Chu. Thank you again to Felix Wong and Helen for taking photographs and videos. Now we can relax. Get another drink, some more food, buy books. Thank you very much.